You're listening to the Wired for Impact podcast.
What you're talking about is you can actually self-manipulate, for lack of a better way of saying it, your own genetic expression. So what's happening in the meditative process that allows that?
So in mindfulness, by changing the way you breathe and putting intention on changing something in your body, just that intention and that breathing practice is actually changing the DNA. That's what's so amazing. You're not taking a protein or a supplement or a different supplement that's changing your microbiome. You're actually changing your DNA with intention, with thought. And so that's why if you focus on being happy, but you do it repetitively over and over again, actually, you're going to express more of those genes that are allowing your serotonin and dopamine to release a little bit more easily or be more receptive to it. Mm-hmm. And so we didn't think in the research actually that we were going to see anything. We thought it would be exactly the same. And what we know about breath work is that your carbon dioxide receptors are resetting. And so as we evolved, we were actually breathing faster than we need to. We used to breathe maybe 10 times per minute. And now we breathe about, most of the time in the hospital, you'll see somebody breathing at 20 times per minute.
Wow.
And that's almost double. And we have, way more than double the heart disease, sinus issues, breathing issues. And so part of it is that the sympathetic nervous system is being activated. And in a society and place where we are constantly stimulated by our cell phones and daily demands, we don't actually slow down enough to activate the parasympathetic nervous system. And when we activate that, we secrete more endorphins, we regulate our chemoreceptors, and we can relax a little bit more. And I think it actually, gives us time to rest and repair. And now we've confirmed it changes your DNA as well.
Fascinating. So I imagine, do you factor that into your practice? Do you have breath work that you have your patients go through, or is that something that's outside of the medical field at this point, or how do you work that into your...
So I think, we will, like, whenever I'm talking someone through a birth, I definitely try the ideal breath is 5.5 seconds in and 5.5 seconds out. So I really try to get them to breathe kind of like that. And I have really good outcomes, like healthier babies and healthy moms. And I do try to focus on that part of it. And, even for my older patients, just to help regulate their blood pressure, I usually tell them to walk at least 10 minutes a day, because there's research that even says just 10 minutes a day of walking, not thinking about maybe the leaves and trees, natures, and being outside. 10 minutes, it can decrease their blood pressure and increase their quality of life.
And as we're doing this, obviously the gene expression gets altered, but what's happening neurologically?
So neurologically, your body's wired to work more efficiently. So it's a lot easier whenever you're about to activate your sympathetic nervous system to go back to the parasympathetic nervous system. So whereas it might take you a long time of deep breathing to activate that vagus nerve, with some deep breaths, you can go into it instantaneously, or within a few seconds. So whereas you would maybe feel anger in a situation or your blood pressure would really spike, you can self-regulate a lot faster. And so you're then secreting a melee of more helpful proteins rather than cortisol, which are, you hear all the time about adrenal fatigue. I mean, if you're constantly secreting cortisol, your body can never catch up. Your adrenal glands, it's difficult for them to create those constant high levels of cortisol. That causes increased inflammation, and then it causes production of inflammatory cytokines and TNF alpha and interleukin 6, and you see those proteins in cancer. And so we're creating the same equivalent of chronic inflammation and cancer with stress, daily stress. And so if we decrease that, we downregulate that inflammatory response and that cortisol, and we increase the rest phase, then actually you can recover a lot better. You can be more resilient. There's Olympians use this way of breathing, and they have a lot better response from their body, and they can perform better than they ever have before.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Wired for Impact. If you're interested in creating and expanding your impact, be sure to visit us online at impactnow.com.